I would like to take a moment before we get into today's main episode and to talk about my sponsor for the podcast. Podmatch is a new podcasting site dedicated to all podcasters. The platform helps hosts get connected with potential guests to appear on their show, as well as allow guests to find podcasts that will give them a chance to share their story. Podmatch offers many tools to help organize your page, from to-do lists to episode planning to potentially appearing on a leaderboard. Podmatch has it all. The best part, you have the potential to get paid. And who doesn't like to get paid from home? I like to. With an easy sign up, you can start connecting with podcasters and guests immediately. I have been a part of Podmatch since the beginning of May, and I have got to say that it was the best decision I've ever made because Podmatch helps your podcast grow. It helps you get connected with people that have very interesting, very compelling background stories that are just waiting for their story to be shared. So if you are a host or guest and would like to start building professional relationships, explore more opportunities, and have your story shared, I highly suggest that you sign up with Podmatch today by going to joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to start expanding your network in seconds. I would like to give another huge thank you to Podmatch for sponsoring this episode. Now on to our main episode, and again, you can sign up at joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to begin your podcasting journey today. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Lethal Venom podcast, the show where I talk about anything I want with the honest to God truth, no lies told. Today, I am joined by Mr. Dr. Salas. He is best known for helping ambiguous entrepreneurs break the cycle of their limiting beliefs so that they can predictably make more sales, achieve their goals flawlessly, and grow their business optimally. Without self-help courses, endless therapy, or overhyped events, he is the creator of the goal and success clearance systems. He is also a #1 Amazon best-selling author, a chiropractic physician, and mind and body expert. He has served over 4,000 clients and counting to transform their lives in the US and Europe for more than 28 years. So, Dr. Salas, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I cannot wait to hear what you have in store for us.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. And like we say in my country, bonjour. You may hear I've got a tiny accent, right? And so I try to not to be too passionate, like that people can understand. But I feel more than welcome to slow me down if it gets too much out of control.
Well, I salute you for being able to learn a different language. I tried to learn Spanish for 2 years, and it was just a struggle bus. It was just something I was not meant to learn. I couldn't do it. I can barely speak English as it is, let alone another language. So I salute you for that. But yeah, your story, as you had mentioned, you're from France, but your story kind of starts from France. So, tell me a little bit about what life was growing up like in France.
Yeah, you see, Noah, for me, because of my background, my dad was pretty authoritarian, right? And he was like very controlling. So for me, freedom was everything. And so, what is the number one thing, the symbolism of freedom? Of course, the bird, but also, a sailing boat, right? And so, as soon as I can remember, I wanted to buy a sailing boat and just to sail all over the world, right? Because that was the symbolism of freedom, right? Nobody can control me. You go with nature, you follow, you go where the wind goes, and things like that. So I've been, basically the freedom, the way I saw it when I was younger was adventure, right? I wanted to have adventure. So I started to work, and it's not on my bio, but I work as an electronic engineer, right? And I used to go in different countries and install, like the phone. And I went to Black Africa and I saw elephant, I saw bulls. So I love to travel, right? Because it's about discovering people and things like that. And after I had the opportunity I bought my boat after the money that I made. I remember, Noah, I had no more money. All my money that I saved, I put in my boat and I said, okay, now, so what? What's going to happen? So I took classes, to know how to sail. I ended up, going to a place that I used to work as a student there when I was a student. And Actually, I talked to one guy by chance, and he told me that he still have his a boat rental business for sale, and so I jumped into the occasion and bought it, and so that's how it started. So I live on my sailboat, and in the same time, I was renting boat in south of France, right? And so I was working like basically I would say 7 months a year, right? And the rest of the time I was sailing. And when the weather got too bad, I will go to the South Hemisphere. I was basically a sun chaser, right? I didn't know what was a winter with snow like for basically 8 years.
So, what was the moment that which eventually you had actually had sold your boat? What was that reasoning behind selling your boat and deciding to maybe um go on to another career? What was that calling and that light bulb moment?
Yeah, and so I don't know if lots of people are lucky enough to experience what I experienced, right? I saw myself as helping other people, right? And it's like when you've got a calling, there's no question about it. There's not even I know it sounds crazy what I'm going to tell you now. There's not even a doubt. You have to do it, right? You have no choice. There's no time for choice, or maybe and things like that. So I saw myself, helping other people, right? Like in the healing art and things like that. And but the problem, nobody in my family was involved with even remotely with the healthcare system, right? And of course, not healing. And so I started to talk to my clients, right? And I will say, hey, do you know anybody? And one day, I talked to a guy that was from my hometown actually, and he said, you know what, I've got a friend of mine is coming for the weekend. He's a Chinese doctor, although he's from France, right? But he's a Chinese doctor. And so I said, sure enough, yeah, I really want to talk to him, right? His name was Philip. And so I would say maybe a couple of weeks later, I just talked to Philip, and he gave me 3 books to read, right? And all about the philosophy, right? And so the Tao Te Ching, the Tao, right, which is a Chinese, philosophical book. The Hara, which means in Japanese means belly, and it's a philosophy like harakiri. When the Japanese people, the warrior used to get a knife and open themselves in the belly because it's their center of gravity, right? And so, and after the man between the sky and the earth, right? So I read all those books, and he told me at the end of the season, when you are done renting boat, pass by, I will give you a treatment, and we'll talk. And so, sure enough, I literally jump on those book, and I read them twice actually. And when the season was over, I went to see Philip, and of course, I asked about Chinese medicine. And he told me, you know what? If you really want to know what you're doing, you need to go to China, learn Chinese, and spend 10 years there and start to study also the old text and all that. I said, Philip, I'm like, I was 29 years old at that time. I said, I want to practice one day, right? So he looked at me and he said, you know what, Alan, you look strong. Why not chiropractic? And I said, what's that? And next thing you know, he gave me all the information about, chiropractic school. And I got in touch with some people who did study abroad in America, right? And they were from France, right? And so what happened? I did get some information from the school, and I had to have that translated by my best friend. She was an English teacher. That's how my English was at that time, right? And so, sure enough, what I like about is the philosophy, and the philosophy, that's what we talk about, the innate intelligence, our own ability to heal ourselves. And this, since then, has been fascinating to me until now. It's still a very core principle of what I do. And sure enough, I just thought, so you have to picture that I used to have long hair. They used to call me the gypsy. I have earrings. I used to party every night, and get drunk every night, right? And after, of course, when I was abroad, I used to party I mean, it's like a never-ending party for 8 years. And after I told my parents, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to go to America and become a doctor. So imagine, they didn't smile, they laugh, literally laugh. But they didn't know how deep that calling was, and so sure enough, I went to the US and get treated by a French woman from my hometown, in Spartanburg in South Carolina. I got my first treatment there, and I guess I liked it, right? And so I decided to do that. So I sold my boat and my boat business and came to America and ended up, for different reasons, studying in Kansas City, Missouri, to become a chiropractor.
Did the move to the United States kind of once you got here, did your expectations um did it live up to your expectations, or did you plan have like a kind of a game plan once you moved here of okay, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna get a degree in this field. Did you have kind of a plan, or was it just kind of a see where life takes me moment?
It's always like this with me. I'm very intuitive. And for example, I always tell my patient I will trust my intuition 100 times more than my analytical mind, for sure. That's how I function. So I just went for it and see, okay, let's see what happened, right? And so I was totally open-minded and see if I was able to do that, right? Because like I said, like I told several people, my brain was rusty, right? After all that partying and all that. But when you've got when you've got your mission in life, that's such a blessing, and just such give you such motivation, almost endless motivation in a way. And so the game plan was just to go and see what happened, right? And sure enough, I was able to study, and 3.5 years later, I graduated from a chiropractic school.
So what has the experience of working in the United States been like for you? Tell me a little bit about what you do professionally and some stories about how moving here has been for you.
Yeah, well, first of all, I did lots of travel because I've had so much time with the boat rental, and I used to work. I went for before owning my boat. I went to Iraq when there was the war between Iran and Iraq. I went to Black Africa and things like that. So, but I never had the idea just to go to the US. I don't know. It was not attractive to me, I guess. So it just happened like that. So I want to say that. And when I came, it was a culture shock, right? I mean, because you will think not, because we are so used to the American movie, the series, they are translated in French and all that. But I'm origin like Latino culture, right? My blood is Hispanic, right? From south of Spain, from Andalusia, and coming to and French is a Latino language, and coming to the US, that was different. We didn't hug at that time, in France. We were kissing, so it was really like things like that. But you have to adapt, but I always, wanted to bath into a culture because that's you expose yourself in a way, right? Because you are not as safe, you don't know all the nuances of a culture and everything. So you expose yourself, but that's good because that's how you learn about yourself, right? And you can take, hopefully the best part of both culture, right, and mix them within you. And so the problem, I didn't have a green card, but I met a French woman in a bar in Kansas City, actually, and she was an au pair, and we literally fell in love, right? And so that's why I decided to stay in Kansas City. And after she became a teacher, and I was able to get a green card and be able to work when I was done with my chiropractic schooling. So that's how it started, and we had a daughter. Her name is Maya. Now she's gonna turn 22 February 4th, and which is a blessing, right? And she's bilingual. She speaks French because we were speaking French at home, right? And English, but yeah. So really to define, I think what was the most important philosophy for me it's just, it's very simple, Noah, like super simple. When you've got a problem in life, you need to know two things. You need, in order to resolve that problem permanently, meaning there's no more problem, you don't even think about it, you moved on, right? So the two things that you need to know, Noah, is this. Number one, you need to find what's causing the problem. And number two, you need to know how to fix it. And I know it seems like so simple, but ask yourself, is it really the deep root cause of my problem, or it's only patchwork, right? And that's a problem with healing, because if you give a medication, that doesn't go to the cause of the problem, right? It goes to the symptom, right? We suppress symptom, which have the consequences, right? And so that's why it's very important to find out the root cause of a system. And from those simple two statements, I created a healthcare system, right? So basically, I started, by treating people physically, right? So that's the physical stress, right? And so with chiropractic, people will get better pretty quick, but after they will plateau. And in order to maintain the plateau, I will still have to treat them. So this made me wonder, maybe this is not the cause of a problem, right? The bone out of place is not the cause of a problem. And so I started to dig even deeper, right? And I realized that we've got physical stress, we've got emotional and mental stress, and also we've got chemical stress, which is your internal chemistry. So I started to, because there were some people, Noah, that will come to see me and they will complain of arthritis or pain in the knees and the elbow, and I couldn't help them because it was not a physical stress issue. So I started to study the internal chemistry, like all the stressors that we can have, all the poison that we are unfortunately exposed to, and I started to integrate that, and I created a practice actually based on that. So for chronic pain and chronic condition, autoimmune disorder, so I started to treat that, and I had a very successful practice. I had 4 employees. We were seeing 250 patient visit a week. So it was really busy, right? And so if you were a patient, I will use a technique is called muscle testing, and your body will tell me which organ under stress and what's causing your stress in those organs. And after we'll have a plan to fix your organs and maybe change what you're eating, find out if you do have some food sensitivity. But just the body, by testing the body, right? You don't have to spend money on testing, right? So I was pretty pleased with that. And but when life has more in store than you can even think, that you can even imagine, life will come to you and say, "Hey, Alan, you're not done. This is only." Because I thought I was living the American dream, right? I had the big house in the best neighborhood. I had the dog. I had my daughter. I was living the American dream basically, and I had lots of money in the bank. I mean, lots of money. I had some money in the bank, right? So everything was rolling. I think I made it. And what happened, I was like so busy about, working all the time and having my mind focusing on the practice that I started to neglect my family. So when I was coming home, I was there, but I was not present, right? And so my relationship went down down the drain basically, and I ending up, within a year now, I ending up divorced. And I started to feel depressed because when you divorce and there's a kid, it's never a handshake. It's complicated, right? And so there's so much guilt and things like that. And it really got into me. So I was not focusing on, ironically, I was not focusing anymore at work now, right? So my practice went to from thriving to failing. And the cherry on the cake, I got diagnosed with early stage of colon cancer. So here I am, advising you, what to do in order to prevent cancer and autoimmune disorder, and I've got the disease. So I have to rethink about everything about my relationship, about my job, right? Because I was not doing a good job. I was getting sick myself, right? And so my prosperity also. I mean, all the aspect of life and my health. So all the aspect of life had to be redefined, rethought. So it's like, going down, really. Like, like we see the plane and the plane is going down, the burning flame because it has been having a problem or whatever. And that's the way I felt. And so after this happened, I had to find a solution for my problem. Like a simple human being, it happens that I'm a doctor, I know different things, but I had to find solution for my problem. And the mind clearing, technique started to show up, right? Because I was pretty comfortable, helping people physically and also chemically with the internal chemistry, but the missing link was the mind-body connection, right? And so I started to study the mind, the emotion, the negative emotion, the negative thought. And by the grace of God, I created the mind clearing technique, which is self-explanatory in a way, right?
So, from the clients that you have helped and have helped kind of get to where they are now, what was the number one question clients came to you asking you on like, okay, what's the first step I need to take to help get this kind of decision to overturn? What was kind of like some of the most common questions you received from
Well,
clients?
well, first of all, with client, it's basically people who think that they have been everywhere and try everything. That was kind of client. So they have been going to the healthcare system, the traditional healthcare system. They have been trying, and they receive little or no success, right? And also people who are more open-minded about, okay, maybe there's another way, to do things. And I will have explained them the way I did explain it to you, right? There's different stress. We're going to assess the physical, the chemical, and emotional stress, and that's why you're sick. It's because there's a disorder of things, and there's less flow, in your body, and we need to find out, okay, what's causing it, right? Number one. So I will do an examination and do that. But those people range from weight loss to hormonal disorder to autoimmune disorder to GI tract problem, to food sensitivity, to autism, but mainly people come because of a discomfort, right? And so it can be pain. That's what I call long-term pain and stress. Basically, that's what it is. So that's those kind of people that will come and we'll do that customized exam and find out what's wrong with them, right? And after I will tell them, okay, so let's start a different way of eating, right? Because let's stop poisoning yourself. Because you see, lots of people are doing like detox, right? That's the fashion, detoxification. Let's clean up my body. But the most efficient detoxification that you can ever do is to find out what's causing, creating your toxin and removing that from your life. Because when you do a detoxification, you're going to spend lots of money on product. Best case scenario, you're going to do a diet that goes with it, but after you're going to return to your old habits. So what's the point, right? That's not a fix, right? And so you need to identify again the causes of a problem. I cannot emphasize that enough. And after when I discover mind clearing, I found out that actually the mind, yeah, do you think your mind can create pain in your body? Oh, you bet you. Do you think that the mind can create symptom in your body? I mean, guaranteed because I treat it, right? And do you think your mind can get you caught up in a self-sabotaging for your health, for your personal relationship, and for your prosperity? Guaranteed. And so I will tell them after, okay, let's change, let's make sure that your gut, healing your gut, make sure your hormonal system is good. Like that, you can get rid of the brain fog, if you had brain fog, and your emotion will be more at bay. And now let's go really what's causing your issue, which can be different trauma, different challenge that, we have not been able to successfully get over it, right? And so that's what the mind is such a big part, right? And that's why lots of people talk about body mind. I talk about mind body. I know it sounds a little bit like who cares, right? But the mind first, always.
What do you think's been the biggest lesson you've learned through this whole journey and the biggest thing that you've taken away from?
Well, the biggest lesson that I learned, let's talk about mindset, right? So the mindset that I had, I was lucky because I knew right away that I knew the purpose of all what happened. Meaning I never been a victim. I never be, oh, why this is happening to me? I could have blamed my wife, right? I not see any fault from myself, what coming from me. I could have blamed on all the outside circumstances, right? Why this is happening to me. But I knew intuitively that this was for the greater good, for my greater good, and also for the greater good of my patient. Because I know through my healing, I will be able to translate all the new things that I will learn or that I've learned to my patient, right? And sure enough, I, I got better at treating people chemically. I figured out that when you supercharge your body with oxygen, it will kill cancer cell, it will kill infectious agent, it will be so beneficial, right? And so I created a different mixture, very cheap, that you can do and help the body to detox after you find what's causing your stress, right? And after for the mind clearing, I started to learn some a different emotional technique, but still, I knew there was something better, and I started, I mean, literally, getting some insight, I will start to do things out of the blue with, I mean, literally no idea what I was doing, right? But I started to do these things, and people, they will give me a good feedback. So that was encouraging to me. And 3 years later, the mind clearing was created. And so, what the mind clearing can do, the mind clearing can treat pain. So just by reprogramming the mind, and we're going to go over that, and also can stop your self-sabotage behavior. Find out why you always attracting the same woman or man in your life, right? Why that are not beneficial to you. Okay, why like codependent relationship? Why you complaining or having no money, right? Why your business is not thriving, right? Why you've got those doubts that always with you, right? While you are always on a victim mode, and the victim mode is basically why me, right? Why this is happening to me, right? And so my mindset was about, okay, so this is for my greater good. There's a big lesson for me to learn that, right? And so that's what we call creator mode, right? Instead of being victim, you become a creator, right? And with a creator mode, you can learn your lesson, you can learn from your life experiences, right? And see, oh, this happened because of that. So I need to change this. If I change this, not going to happen to me again, right? And what I discovered, it's actually how the mind works, right? And I don't know if you want me to elaborate how the mind works, Noah, because that's very fascinating. And the way I'm going to explain it is going to be very simple to people.
Yeah, feel free to explain it because I think a lot of my audience would really appreciate and learn a lot from it. So yeah, feel free to explain.
So the mind, right? I mean, let's make sure that we know what we are talking about, right? So first of all, you have to know that we live in two different worlds at the same time. So what do I mean by that? There's what we call the outside world, right? And the outside world is your circumstances, it's what you experience with your senses, right? It's your thought, your emotion, your behavior and your action, right? And after you've got your inner mind, and so the outside mind is processed by what we call your conscious mind, your conscious mind. And the inside or inner mind, should I say, it's called the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is very tricky because you're not really aware of what's going on there. For example, the subconscious mind communicates with you with dreams. When you remember a dream, that's a message coming from your subconscious mind. A part of your intuition means you know that you know. There's no doubt, there's no question, it just came to you, hit you like a positive ton of brick, right, if you want. So that's coming for your subconscious mind. So I started to be very intrigued about, okay, what's the difference? Because what is the conscious and really the subconscious mind? So I'm going to give you several facts about that. First of all, if you look at the percentage of your conscious mind and subconscious mind, I don't know if you've got any idea Noah, but your conscious mind is only so who you think you are, your self-identity, right? The persona, if you want, right? Like they would call that in Greece, right? The persona, right? So it's only 5% or 10%, depends who you read. I believe it's more than 5%. 5% of your mind. Therefore, the subconscious mind, which you don't have any clue really what's going on, right, is 90 to 95% of your mind. And here's the problem, Noah. When you want to heal, when you want to transform yourself, right? When you want to fix your relationship, when you want to fix your health, and when you want to fix your prosperity, what you're going to be focused on? only on your conscious mind. So basically, you're going to use only 5 or 10% of your mind power. So I thought, why not bringing the subconscious mind to the party and be able to use 100% of your mind power? Does it make sense to you?
It absolutely does. I think it's very important for a lot of people to really learn and learn stuff about this. Um, how do you remain excited to go to work, cruising through challenges when facing any obstacles, setbacks, and roadblocks? Because I know that a lot of people, when they go to work, it's like every day, even if it's like a dream job, they dread it. So, what keeps you motivated to work every day?
Well, I mean, for me, it was easy. What has been given to me, it's my mission in life. I mean, there's no doubt since I was renting boat in south of France and I had that calling, right? But here's the thing. So in order to answer that question, I'm going to have to go deeper into the mind like that you can understand better. So basically the subconscious mind is where your, like for example, your conscious mind like right now, my conscious mind talking to you get 11 bits per second of data. But in the same time, my subconscious mind get 11 million bits per second of data. So when I'm listening at this moment, if you we stop that moment, I will have 11 bits per second, 11 bits of data, and the subconscious mind will get 11 million bit of data. So the subconscious mind record everything you have been doing in your life from age 0 to now, right? Also, all your skills are stored in your subconscious mind. All the things that happen automatically in your body that you don't have to think about it, like your heartbeat, your breathing, your digestive process, your digestion, right? Come from your subconscious mind. And more importantly, your subconscious mind has been programmed. And here's the key. Noah, you have been programmed. I've been programmed. Everybody listening to that program, if I can say that, has been programmed. So how does it work, right? How we get programmed? What Dr. Salas is talking about, right? So the way we get programmed, first of all, disclaimer, we can be programmed at any age, right? We can be programmed all the time. But around aged 0 to 7 years old, our mind is more like a sponge, right? Absorb everything from the outside world, right? We even function with different wavelength, right? So basically a brainwave, right? So for example, we can be like when we're a kid, we are beta wave and theta wave, which is kind of hypnotic. So what we see in the outside world, all the experience that we have in the outside world, we assume is the truth. We assume that's the way it should be, right? So when you assume one time, two times, it become a program, and that program become unconscious. It can be conscious too, right? Because you can observe pattern, but the program is in the subconscious mind. So let me give you an example. For example, let's pretend there's a little girl that see her dad is a drunk. Every night he drinks, right? Comes back home and beat his wife up. What do you think that little girl, when she grows up, what kind of romantic relationship she's going to attract, Noah?
Probably not a good one, probably a similar one.
Yeah, the same one, right? And
Hmm.
so let me make two remarks on that. And probably 80% to 90% of the people will agree with us, right? But let me make sure that people understand why. So if I ask that woman now, she's a woman, right? She's in that bad relationship that, yeah, that codependent relationship, right? And so she's in that relationship, and I say, hey, do you enjoy to get beat like your mom? So the conscious mind is going to say, no, I don't want that, right? But the subconscious mind has been programmed as men are predator and women are prey. You see, that's the program that is running. And how does it work? How come she's going to attract that guy, right? She's going to say, hey, can you come and beat me up? Of course not, right? It's not going to happen that way. So it means that our subconscious mind are all connected. That's why people sometimes they say we are all one. Doesn't mean that we have to love everybody, of course not. But we are all one because the subconscious mind are all connected. So let me play the role of a subconscious mind of that woman, and the subconscious mind is going to talk to the conscious mind of that woman, and she goes, "Hey, look at that guy. He used to be a bully. He used to be bullied, and now he's a bully, right? He's got the predator program. That's the perfect match for you. Just go for it, fall in love with him, right? And now, if I'm the subconscious mind of that man, say, oh, look, she's got the prey program, right? She wants somebody like, she wants to be roughed up, right? And you've got it's a perfect match. So fall in love, and sure enough, opposite attract, right? Literally. And like you say in America, it takes two to tango, right? And
Mm,
so they are going to be in that relationship. And so what happened, you've got basically three different case scenario. She's going to marry the guy and get stuck for the rest of her life. She may call the cops once in a while and never press charges. And you are like, but why she doesn't press charges? He's going to kill her. Why? Because of that program. That's how powerful this program can be. The predator program and the prey program in that instance, right? Case scenario number two, she go with that guy, right? And after get tired of it, right? Get to get beat up and find another relationship, right? And after from life experiences, we of course we can learn from life experiences, right? So there's two reactions that the women have. And one of the most common is this one, Noah. I will talk to them, and she said, Dr. Salas, don't talk to me about men. They're not good for me. I know that. I try. I'm done. It's kind of like there's a fire and you put your finger in it and you get burned. You put your finger in it again and you say, okay, the fire burned. I'm done. I'm not going to do that again. Right. And
mm.
after there's the second things that it's when you heal from it. Right. But imagine all the suffering. Maybe they had kids along the way with different men. I mean, who knows? And so basically, they will be like that. They will attract somebody that is totally different. A man that just support, him or her, right? A man that is like truly love her, right? Truly want see her as an equal of him, right? I mean, like a real relationship, right? And so that's when you know that you have been healed. You heal from that problem when you attract the opposite, basically. And case scenario number three, she can come to see me, and we can change that program, right? So when you've got a program in your computer that you don't want to, what are you going to do? Number one, you're going to delete that program. Number two, you're going to go to the Play Store and download a new program that will fit better your need, right? You will be pleased with the outcome. And number three, what you're going to see in the screen of life, you're going to love the outcome, right? You say, oh, that's what I want. That's the man I want, or that's the woman I want. And also, you're going to be pleased with generally the outcome. Who's know the three step of a man clearing? Number one, you delete what you don't want. Number two, you download what you want. And number three, you want to make sure that you create that into your life that's going to materialize to you. Does it make sense to you?
Absolutely does. If you had not have taken that step to come to the United States to pursue this career, where do you honestly think you would be in life? Do you think you'd still be in France? Do you think you would have eventually would have just come here? Or what if you had not had that light bulb moment that one day, where do you think your life would be at this point?
I will be traveling because I used to say, and I still say, traveling is like a virus and there's no cure for it. There's no way when you've got that, until this day, I love to travel, right? And so I will be traveling, maybe be an alcoholic, I don't know, because partying too much, who knows, and but I will go, I will have probably go around the world with a boat and all that, which is fine, but when you see, that's why I want to tell your audience, when you know what you are designed for, when you know what is your mission in life, that's so important. And so that's the first thing that I do with people. I use a technique and we go deep into the subconscious mind and they write down what they see there. And that's because like people who say, okay, what's your goal? All right, they say, oh, I want $1 million. I say, no, that's not what you want. The $1 million is going to give you some energy to do things, but what is it that you really want? And so we start to dig. We can do that analytically. And so what are you going to do with $1 million? Why do you want why? The question why is so important. I think it's one of them. It's probably in my eyes the most powerful question. Why? Why come from your heart? It's in your heart. Why you doing what you're doing comes from your heart. And so your heart is the center of your body. It's so important, right? And so you always ask the question. You can, practice on your own. Why do I want this? And after it just come down to something very simple, right? That you can deal with. Okay, for me, it's to help people. But the bottom line, what I do is to help people, right? And so for other people, because I can say, oh yeah, I want a big practice. I don't want that anymore, right? To just make sure clear. But I want to teach 1 million people the mind clearing, like that we can have domino effect and that can change the world, right? And so, but basically, why I want that is because I want to help people. So you have to find the core. What is that core? What is that inner things that will give you, like you said, the energy not to burn out anymore, the energy that you go to work and it's not work. Right? You don't work any day of your life. Of course, you can be tired. Of course, you're going to be overwhelmed. But when you know your why, this is where it starts. When you know your why, you know everything, and that's how you're going to be happy in your life.
To kind of wrap things up a little bit, what piece of advice would you give to people that were probably in the same situation as you were in, of how they can maybe find their way in life? Kind of what's some of the best advice you've ever received that you could tell my audience today?
About what? Do you have anything specific or in general?
In
Okay,
general,
I can do that. Yeah. So first of all, what I want people to realize that we think about the little me. We think about we are only our conscious mind, which is only 5 or 10% of our mind, right? But you have to realize that you are so much more than that. Right? Let me zoom out and give you a little bit of my philosophy of life, right? So let's pretend like imagine there's a sun. And the sun is the divine, is awareness, is God, whatever your belief is about something higher than you, right? Something divine or whatever. So let's pretend this is the sun. And after a spark of the sun, it becomes your spirit, right? And after this is what we call non-duality. It means imagine this as maybe pure love, right? It's only love, right? It's like just amazing, right? And after you've got your physical being, right? So the physical aspect of you and me, right? And so there's some people that they've got, and you've got the sky, and after you've got you and me, right? The physical aspect. And some people, the sky is there are so many clouds that they cannot even see the sun. They say actually the sun doesn't exist. I don't have a spirit. I don't have a higher self, right? And so what are those clouds? Those clouds are those negative programming that we call limiting belief, right? Remember, we talk about that little girl. The limiting belief was, men are predators, so I'm going to attract that into my life. And she doesn't do that consciously. It's not, it's nobody's fault. That's the way it works. But you need to know what's causing it, what's causing the problem, and how to fix it, right? And so there's so many clouds that they say there's no sun. And after you start to get rid of some limiting beliefs, so you get rid of some cloud. And after, you can start to have a glimpse at the sun. You can start to feel the warmth of the sun, and you get excited because imagine it's like pure love. It's like so many amazing sensations. So you start to get rid of more limiting belief, right? One after the other. And so you get after more connected to your spirit. And after you realize you're not a little me, you're not only flesh and bone, you're not only 5 or 10% of your mind, you realize that you're a spirit living a human experience. And the lesser cloud you've got, the more connection and the more connection with the divine you can have. And after you become of something that people talk, it's called the awakening. When you realize and you truly embrace the experience of being a spirit living a human being experience, you realize that all the outside world, it's fine, right? It's great. But after you stop to get triggered by that, because you realize you've got so much higher vibration than that, but it doesn't even really touch you after. What will have been before, like what you say, a negative experience, you realize that maybe it's the best thing that ever happened to you. Like, for example, for me, to have a cancer, to have my relationship going down, to have my business going down, is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm certainly 100% sure about that, right? Look what happened after I created that amazing technique, right? And so that's the most important thing. Like, you are so much more powerful than you think you are. Even in your wildest dream, you are so much powerful. And the mind clearing, the way it's done, will empower you to heal yourself. I'm just guiding you, but you're using your own ability to heal yourself. Remember, we talked about that at the beginning, your own ability to heal yourself. And because you're gonna tap into your subconscious mind yourself, I'm gonna give you the technology to tap in your subconscious mind yourself and guide you through it, customize it to you, and like that you be able basically to heal yourself.
Well, Dr. Salas, I appreciate you so much for coming on here and sharing your testimony with me today and sharing some really great advice to my audience. If if my listeners would like to learn more about your business and would like to maybe if they would like to maybe ask you questions about
Sure.
mindset, business mindset, where all can they get best find you at?
So I've got a website. It's called The Mind Clearing, THE mindclearing.com, right? And there's a ton of information there that we didn't have time to cover. There's so much to cover now. It's just crazy. And so, but you can go into contact, and there's a form, a jot form that's there, and you can ask me any question that you want. If you want to experience the work, because we can talk about things like for hours, but until you experience, you don't know really. And so if you want to experience the technique, it takes an hour. And I will give you 20% discount if I mention Noah's podcast, right? And if you want to learn that technique, like the package, which is mind clearing basic, goal and success clearing, and also body clearing for pain and symptom in your body, I would give you 50%, 50% discount. That's it. That's how you can get hold of me.
Alrighty, I will put all his links in the description box below the website. If you would like to go and look him up and get in contact with him, I'll put his website down there. Feel free to follow the podcast on the social media platforms, Instagram and TikTok at Lethal Venom Podcast, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Noah's Podcast. And as always, listen to Lethal Venom wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm on all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora. It's everywhere, so feel free to subscribe so that you get notified of when new episodes come out. Thank you to everyone for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Be safe, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Lethal Venom.